Let's start with the growing scandal in Victoria. It's the one state government that failed completely to do the basics in stopping this coronavirus, and now all Australia's at risk. And that scandal today got even worse. Now, last month, Australia had this virus just about beaten, only a handful of daily infections. But the Victorian government was sitting on a secret. It had been warned that the main gate to this virus getting into this country had been left open. The private security guards, the amateurs that the government had for some bizarre reason got to staff its quarantine hotels, were no good. On March 29, a senior bureaucrat sent an email to senior officials at Victoria's Department of Health and Human Services, which managed this hotel quarantine for returning travellers. And this email warned the department to at least get police involved to stop breakdowns in discipline of those hotels, saying, "We request the Victoria Police is present 24/7 at each hotel starting from this evening. We ask that DHHS urgently make their request as the control agency." And the next day, as the 9 newspapers report, a second email was sent suggesting the private security guards they had there were not adequate. But the Victorian government did nothing. It did not call in the police to take over. It did not call in the army, not until this week when it was all far, far, far too late. It kept on those private security guards. And guess what? They got sick. They had then family gatherings, and away the virus raced through Melbourne's north and then the rest of the city and now interstate. Today, 270 more Victorians sick, 26 people now in intensive care and 2 more people dead, both in their 80s. And New South Wales, 13 new cases, some because of infections imported from Victoria. But once again, Victorian Premier Daniel Andrews refused today to explain what went wrong. He couldn't possibly comment on these latest revelations now that it appointed an inquiry to look into all this.
Well, that's not a matter for me to determine either in fact or to offer you an opinion. We've got a retired judge, Jennifer Coate, doing that work, and that is the most appropriate way forward. It's entirely a matter for Judge Coate. Question might be appropriate, but me answering it certainly is not. Those matters, who was in charge, how that worked, decisions that were made, all of those issues are rightly the province of retired Judge Coate.
What a disgraceful cop-out. Andrews knows what went wrong. There's no rules stopping him from telling you. He would just rather not. But this whole thing is just so infuriating, particularly if you're a Victorian. Let me say again, I am not being wise after the event. As far back as April, on this show, I was already saying that our government should do the 2 things above all. And I'm sure you thought exactly the same. A, quarantine the infectious. Really quarantine them. And B, protect the most vulnerable. I mean, the vast majority of our dead have been older than 70. A third of the dead have been in nursing homes. So here is what I said, word for word. We should all keep washing our hands and keeping our distance, of course. And we should do more to quarantine the sick and more to protect the elderly. It's not rocket science. And then, of course, I said, pull back the devastating restrictions on everyone else that's bankrupting the economy. Instead, this absurd government, this slack and secretive government, did virtually the exact opposite. Its quarantine controls, appalling. As for protecting the elderly, another fail. This is incredible. Do you know that it was only yesterday that the federal and Victorian governments decided that, as from now, staff in aged care homes must wear face masks. Basic protection. 4 million masks are only now being sent to Victoria for the aged care homes. Only now is this a rule? Only now, after at least 60 more people in nursing homes have just been infected, including staff. The basics in Victoria just were not done. Instead, the Victorian government ruined the economy, caused unbelievable distress by hitting the young And they're healthy with tough bans, even useless bans on fishing and golf for a while. Bans on people, if they do get sick, almost certainly will not die. What utter, shocking stupidity.